This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of The Edge, Trek FM's dedicated podcast to Star Trek Discovery. I am your co-host, Liam Smart, and joining me today is Brandi Jackola. Brandi, how are you?
We'll just pretend that I'm fine and go from there.
Okay, let's just ignore everything in the world.
Yeah, let's just pretend that, not everything's falling apart and, that we're not dying from a disease. Let's do that.
Yes, okay, agreed. Nick is not with us again today because he is finalising his PhD. I think as of the time of recording, it is due in about 5 days or something like that. So,
wow.
Good luck to dear old Nicholas. And it's also our last episode of The Edge. I mean, it's the last episode that we're technically recording of The Edge. We will have another episode out, which will be a sort of what was going to be for our 100th episode celebration, but we're just going to bring that forward. But yeah, how do you feel about that, Brandi? It's our last Edge recording together.
Yeah, but we'll have other recordings together, just not on the Edge.
Exactly, yeah. So, Brandi, what are your initial thoughts on the Mirror Universe, just as a whole?
Well, it's not my favorite place to go. And that's not because there aren't interesting stories going on there, but it's just, seeing that version of the future where Earth is just a bunch of tyrants, although extremely possible and realistic, is not my favorite thing to see. So it's always difficult for me because, they in the Mirror Universe, they basically just rule everything, and you've got this ragtag group of rebels always trying to overthrow things, and it never works out because there's just not enough of them or whatnot. So they tend to be hard on me because it's difficult for me to see the characters I love being complete a-holes.
See, I kind of like them.
Of course you would. You love a-holes.
Yes, I do.
In more ways than one.
Oh, shit.
If I have an aneurysm and die, I will go happy. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. That didn't mean for that to happen. Yeah. Wow. Leave it to me.
Normally it's me that does things like that. Oh, wow. Okay, where to go from here?
Oh, boy.
I do love characters. Oh, listeners, I am lost. I'm lost for words right now.
That's me. I can bring a conversation to a halt really easily. It's my mutant power under the umbrella of awkwardness.
So that's your, oh my God, you'd be like an interesting X-Men then.
I can clear a room like you would not believe. Just walk in and start being myself. The awkwardness repels everyone and they just flee.
Wow. Well, where was I going? Oh yeah. So the Mirror Universe, I enjoy it. To be honest, I like seeing characters that are playing someone else or playing their own character but in a completely different way. Like, I think that's cool when you see actors do that. The thing with the Mirror Universe as well is I kind of like evil characters. I'm not going to lie. I liked Lorca. I like Kai Wynn. I like Mirror Giorgio. You know, I like all the evil people.
Well, is Giorgio really that evil, though? I mean, she thinks she is, but she's done some actually good things just for the sake of doing a good thing. Although she doesn't want anyone to remind her of that.
Yeah, no, like, she has a soft spot for Michael Burnham. But at the end of the day, she's also willing to blow up an entire planet. So
yeah, well, an entire galaxy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Find a star, make it go supernova. What's the big deal?
It's like, whatevs. But yeah, so my ideas on the Mirror Universe is that it's a cool little departure from the standard storyline that we get, especially nowadays when you look at them and think, wow, hell, it's that's definitely what's happening right now. You know, it sort of makes you realize, and it's sort of like how I watched the episode DS9, past tense. I'm just like, well, this is also now, you know. So it's even though that's not a Mirror Universe episode, there are when those episodes that make you really think of real life. They're the ones that are probably more powerful, to be honest, in my opinion, because it makes you realize that this is going on nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. And tied into that, even though they're not Mirror Universe episodes, are the season 4 episodes of Enterprise called about Terra Prime.
Yeah.
And how easily that could have become the Terran Empire. So, and stuff like that also happening now.
Yeah. It's wow. It's a disaster, but there's actually quite a rich history of what's gone on in the Terran Empire. Nobody really knows when it started. Like, I would love to see that point in time where things diverged off into having a mirror universe like it is. Like, it wouldn't have, if it gone on the many worlds or many universe theory or whatever it's called, like how things split off, etc. It'd be interesting to see where the prime timeline and the mirror universe split off. Because Archer says that it's been around for centuries.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to say because, honestly, until there was space travel, though, there can't really be a Terran Empire.
Exactly, which is the weird thing. And you could almost...
That doesn't actually make sense.
You could probably say that it could have split off when Zefram Cochrane killed, the first Vulcan in 2063.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, that's when you can sort of say that there was a Terran Empire, but it could just be that you're right, that doesn't make sense for it to last a century. Maybe it could have done, because the people that were, they could have just had that mindset, and it could have just been like a particular country going all over the world, etc., taking over. And then they just expanded that out to, the rest. I mean, we see in the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, the opening credits, and I mean, let's face it, they're all sadly our own past anyway. Images of our own stuff. So, I mean, at one point, it's something like, I guess, World War II could have gone towards Germany, for example.
Yeah, well, there was already stories about that called The Man in the High Castle. You've never heard of The Man in the High Castle?
No.
Really? Philip K. Dick? No? Never heard of that?
No. What is it?
It was a series on Amazon, too. Basically, it's what happens to the United States after Germany and the Nazis win the war.
Oh, okay.
And it also deals with alternate realities. It's actually very interesting.
Okay. Is it a book or a movie or a TV show?
It was originally a book, and it was made into, I think there have been comics, don't quote me on that, but there was I believe, 5-season series on Amazon that is still there, of course, because nothing ever goes away when Amazon produces it. It stays on Amazon forever.
So it's a relatively new thing produced on Amazon?
Within the last few years, yeah.
Okay. Is it like a period piece, or is it like action, or?
It is a little bit of everything, and it's very good, but it's also very bleak at times.
Yeah.
which is not my favorite thing. And yet it was, I just wanted to know what happened. So I kept watching. So.
Well, there we go. That's something to put on my list of things to do in between editing The World, applying for the Bureau, and everything else. And honours, which will start soon. So, sorry, I'm talking about myself too much.
Shame on you.
Oh, God. Okay. So, I'll just we'll give a very, very, very quick history of the Mirror Universe, I guess. Obviously, what we first know of it is...
Please do.
Technically, obviously, the first time we see it is in TOS, if Mirror Mirror, I believe the episode is called. But chronologically, the first time that we have stories from it is in the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, which I thought I would watch yesterday because I just like Travis in that red shirt. But anyway.
The arms on that guy.
I know, he's got more arms than I've got muscle. Or more muscle on those arms than I have in my whole entire body. But so, I mean, the teaser of that episode we see Zefram Cochrane kill the first Vulcan on First Contact Day. And then the honestly, those credits are the best opening credits in the whole entire...
They are very well
in the
done.
whole entire Star Trek world. It's just so cool. Like Jordan, when he first watched it, he was like, "Whoa!" And so was I. And I'm like, "What the hell's going on right now?" I mean, obviously, I saw the episode title and thought, "Yeah, well, this is a Mirror Universe episode," because I'd seen, or heard of the Mirror Universe. But then, obviously, we see all the things that happen, which is the world basically blowing up and all the bad things that happen before that. We see the Terran flag on the moon as well. And then we see a starship which kind of looks like the Enterprise. I don't particularly know what kind of ship it is. I'm just going to say it's the Enterprise. Kill me if I'm wrong, I don't mind. But destroying colonies on the moon and then fights with Vulcans and subjugate, I think the word is, Andorians, Tellarites and the Xindi. They also control the Denobulans, which we see. And then in the actual episode itself, there are, as we know, rebellions from the other alien species and the Terran Empire is struggling. Mirror Archer, who's not the captain of the Enterprise, takes over from Mirror Captain Forrest, which I thought was cool, seeing Captain Forrest instead of Admiral Forrest. I thought that was kind of cool. They find the USS Defiant that was taken from the future and the Prime Universe in... What episode? Was it the one with the Tholian web? Was that how it got there?
Yes, I believe so.
And then Mira Sato announcing herself as Empress at the end, which I thought was the best thing ever, Empress Sato. To take one of the most underused characters in Enterprise and then make her the Empress. And then...
yes, and Travis finally gets something to do by being her consort, so at least there's that.
Yes, exactly. I bet they all got the script and they were like, we're kissing each other. It's like lots of kissing. And then obviously in the time between the goings-on of Enterprise and the goings-on of Discovery, we end up with the Terrans conquering Kronos, and then some big ships, and they're like a big, big force to be reckoned with like the ISS Karen and all of that. So, and then we get to Disco with Lorca and all of that. So,
well, I have met Jason Isaacs as well, and Dave really loves Lorca because Dave is also into sometimes evil characters. But we were talking to Jason Isaacs, and I told him you're his favorite captain, and he's like, it's just Lorca got done. You'll have to bleep that, but that's an actual quote. He's like, you can say what you want about Mirror Lorca, but he got done.
He did get stuff done.
You can't argue that, can you? You can't. So, yeah, you may see him as evil, but yeah, he got stuff done.
He did, and there's no pussyfooting around with him either.
No. Just
blunt, get what needs to be done, and none of this Prime Directive rubbish or Gormaganda sanctuaries,
Yeah.
It's like, just take it to the canned fish factory.
Ooh. But it's not a fish.
Oh, space whale factory then. Okay,
fine. But whales are endangered, so you can't really...
I know, but Lorca doesn't care about that. So, while we're talking about Lorca, did you have any inkling that he was from the Mirror Universe? Or not?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
How so?
When he sleeps with Cornwell was really the one thing that tipped me off because she was looking at the scars on his back and she didn't recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yep, he's definitely from the Mirror Universe. But I had my suspicions before that.
Yeah, well,
especially with the light thing. So,
but you see, that light thing was only ever introduced in Discovery, though, wasn't it?
I know, but it was just a weird thing. And I'm like, really? You have a light sensitivity from what exactly that happened with the Baran could give you a light sensitivity? It just seemed weird that was the explanation.
I think they could have...
It was wonky.
Yeah, I think they could have left the light sensitivity out, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan. I'm just like, well, I mean, yeah, it's a thing, but seems a bit dumb, if you ask me.
It's weird. It was a weird thing to go with. I'm like, what was the point of it, really? Anyway.
It's like, yeah, whatever.
It's just one of those things where I'm just like, why? Why? Maybe that's so that they'll know how to check if someone's from the Terran Empire in the future, in case they ever end up in the Mirror Universe again, or suspect someone's from the Mirror Universe. Just shine a light in their eyes.
Just carry a flashlight. That's now standard Federation armament every time they go on their belts. Anytime they go in the transporter, just in case there's a transporter malfunction or spatial anomaly. Oh, for God's sake. You know what I mean. Like, oh no, there seems to be an interphasic rift. Oh, better get my flashlight.
Well, there are places that are very dark. A flashlight is not necessarily a bad thing to have on your person during any kind of away mission.
And I guess. But
oh, come on, give me that.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think of something to say, and I'm just like, I can't think of anything witty to say to that. Not that I'm a witty person anyway, but...
Oh, yes, you are. Don't short sell yourself.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm ruining this episode.
No, sweetie. No, it's a team effort. If we go down together.
Team destruction.
Yes.
Oh, that's because we're mirror. That's right. We're the mirror versions of ourselves. So, where else can we go? This is about as far as my brain went. Oh, that's right. How did they get to the Mirror Universe in this particular show? They have all sorts of weird and wacky ways, and they managed to get it via the mushroom train in the sky.
Yeah, well, and that was Lorca's deal. And that was when, I absolutely 100% knew that I was correct, that he was Mirror Universe, is because he changed the destination of one of those jumps. And, yeah. And then when they end up in this area where it's a destroyed Klingon ship, I'm like, yep, well, I'm just going to sit back and wait for the Mirror Universe revelation next episode. And there it was.
It's like, where are we?
Yeah, he's good at faking it.
I think at the end of the day, we all knew it was going to be Mirror because Jonathan Frakes accidentally spoiled it at that point.
Yeah, thanks, Frakes.
But for those who don't watch Discovery, or when I say don't watch Discovery, don't watch Star Trek religiously like the rest of us that probably listen to this podcast, they wouldn't have known about it. And that was kind of cool. So if you take that surprise out of it, or take the Jonathan Frakes aspect and our vast, vast knowledge of the franchise.
Yes.
Yes. But that would have been good for casual viewers.
Indeed.
Although it probably would have confused the hell out of them.
Possibly. Well, there's in-story explanations. They do go over what's happening for the people who are uninitiated in the ways of the other Mirror Universe episodes popping up in other series. So it's not really overt. It's just more of a, okay, this is where we are, and this is what is going on, and we have to look like we're a Terran Empire ship, so let's repaint some things, etc. So, that's the beauty of records. They're able to access certain records and go, oh, this person, there is an ISS Discovery, but it's missing. So let's pretend to be that. And so on and so forth.
I mean, that was probably one of my favorite scenes about the Mirror Universe when they were repainting everything and getting all their, the ISS written on the Discovery and all of that.
Yes, I did enjoy that as well. Got to see those worker bees again out there painting.
There's worker bees.
Doing a nice job. Yep, I got a worker bee model. I love my worker bee. It's so cute. They had to, they had to figure out who was captain of what, and that's how Tilly ends up being Captain Killy.
Oh, yes, Captain Killy. Now, you liked Captain Killy, I'm guessing, didn't you?
I was entertained very much by Captain Killy because I knew underneath that it was just, my girl Tilly putting on the performance of her life, which she's kind of without guile, so that was difficult for her. But once she owned it, she was just owning it. Like, she was into it, but not in a way where she would ever actually perform acts of cruelty to anyone. I can't imagine Tilly ever being cruel to anyone ever. It's just not in her nature.
That just shows that the Mirror Universe is the antithesis of us, or like the prime parts, isn't it?
Which would make sense why Voke is a good guy.
That was cool seeing Tyler up against Voke.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I actually never thought of Voke as a bad person, nor Laurel. It's just a matter of their perception of the Federation and such. So, I never saw them as villains. People like Cole, a definite villain. Mm-hmm. But, I never looked at the Klingons as a whole being bad guys. They're just fighting to preserve their way of life in their minds. So,
yeah. And then we have the revelation of who the Emperor is.
Not Empress, Emperor.
Yeah, which is cool because,
yeah, you don't have to genderfy it.
Yeah. She has, the best title, though. All hail Her Most Imperial Majesty, Mother of the Fatherland, Overlord of Vulcan, Dominus of Kronos, Regina Andor. All hail Philippa Georgiou Augustus Eoponius Centarius. Imagine having that as a name.
That's a lot of words.
Imagine the signature on that.
I think you'd shorten it for a signature. You don't want to write the whole thing out because, you don't want people to be able to forge your signature, right? So you sign it differently every time. This time I'll put in the Augustus. This time I'll put in the Eoponius. This time.
But why do you think she took titles of Vulcan and Klingon and Andorian, titles? The Dominus of Kronos, etc. Is that just to show that
she is
the boss?
She is their ruler. Oh, yeah, absolutely, to show she's the boss. And I'm pretty sure emperors before her did the same thing.
I guess they would have done. Not that we've seen it, but do you reckon she's very xenophobic?
Absolutely. That's the whole thing about the Terran Empire.
Is it with everyone, though?
Not every single person, no, but the people in power do not want any aliens interfering, so they subdue them, keep them from causing trouble. And interbreeding, especially that, they definitely don't want that.
No. Now here's a question for you. Would you eat Kelpian?
No.
It looked gross. It looked like squid.
I am not going to eat a person.
Even if you were Mirror Brandi?
Even if I were Mirror Brandi. I think Mirror Brandi would actually be a vegetarian.
Okay. Do you like a bit of meat?
I do.
Yeah.
More than I should like it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we spoke about this the other day. I'll be super naive. I'll be the one who'd be like, oh no, don't harm anyone. Where else? So what else is there in the Mirror Universe that we wanted to talk about?
Can I bring some of the comics into it?
Yeah, go for it. Not that I've seen them, but go for it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay. You don't need to have seen them, but there is a 4-issue comic of Discovery in the Mirror Universe after Georgiou is gone.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to fill that void. So,
tell me what happened.
Lots of things happened, but one of the funniest things that happened was that Harry Mudd was a doctor working with the rebellion and treating refugees.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why didn't they just leave him alone?
He wasn't in it for very long. It wasn't focused on him at all. He just showed up in a few panels, and I just thought, okay, yeah, instead of being a complete selfish narcissist, he is instead a very giving person who just wants to help. That works. So, but spoiler alert, the one who ends up being the Emperor is Arium.
Really?
Yes, the new Emperor, which ends up being actually Michael Burnham. As she takes the throne, Arium basically has rigged a poison cloud to spray up all over everybody, and because she has her own helmet that seals and prevents her from ingesting any outside air, should she so choose to do, she was the only one left standing in that whole inaugural crowning or whatever you do with the Terran Empire leader, and she assumed the throne.
Emperor Arium. Oh, I wonder if she can come back. Do you reckon we could have we wouldn't have a Mirror Universe episode of Discovery with Arium because it's like 3200 or whatever it is now.
Well, see, that's the funny thing about the Mirror Universe is just because you're in the Mirror Universe doesn't mean that it's necessarily the same year there as it is in the Prime Universe. Because you're hopping universes, there's got to be some kind of time distortion as well. That's certainly possible. So it could very well end up being a completely different year there.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess. I mean, obviously the USS Defiant went back in time, so why not? Do you reckon we'll get a Mirror Universe episode in Season 3? Just to see where things are at? I would like it. I would like to see where the Mirror Universe is at. Because the Federation has fallen apart, obviously, for Season 3. But wouldn't it be funny if we went back to the Mirror Universe and there is now a Federation there that's thriving?
That would be interesting. I don't know if I want that per se, unless there is a very specific time shift, because we won't have any context for anything going on. Like, none of their counterparts will be there. They all have been long dead. So I don't know what that would add to the story, because it would be a bunch of people we've never met and have no connection to.
That's a good point. Unless the Discovery went forward. Oh no, the ISS Discovery got destroyed, didn't it, in the Mirror Universe?
Mm-hmm. It did.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that would screw things up, and we know Stamets is dead. I'm trying to think if they somehow managed to get themselves into the future as well, but I highly doubt it. But then that would screw things up because it wouldn't really be a parallel universe, would it? Anymore.
No, it certainly wouldn't.
So things could have really screwed up. Maybe they're all dead, or I would like to see it, Brandi. I think we should message our good friend Alex Kurtzman. I mean, we know him personally. We call him call him Al, and or Kurtz.
Well, you call him Al. I call him Lex.
Oh, do you? Sometimes I call him Curtsy Boy, but I mean.
Oh yeah, I don't. I've been asked not to use that one. No. You get away with it, but I can't.
No, I mean it's just because the Z. I mean, So yeah, we'll message old Curtsy and we'll just tell him that that's what we want, and because we get what we want all the time, he will put it in for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Cool. Listeners, you can thank us.
Yes. Thank us for the future Mirror Universe episodes that you're going to see in Discovery Season 3. Yep. That's all us. Despite the fact that, I mean, we're basically giving you guys a spoiler, because obviously these episodes were filmed quite some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this in the future and we're totally wrong, I should never have believed this. Oh, we're talking some weird things, aren't we?
Well, it's the Mirror Universe.
I want to go back to the Rebellion style things. Obviously, we saw that in Enterprise, and it's carried all the way through into Discovery, because obviously the Terran Empire is still in charge and all of that. But I think it's cool how we get to see Tellarites for the first time, Because this is the first time we see a Tellarite in Discovery is actually in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we see him in season 2 as well. But this is the first time in Discovery, and it's so nice because they are one of the founding members of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always thinks, just Andoria or Andor, depending on whether you're talking about the star or the planet. They think about Andorians, they think about Vulcans, they think about humans, and then they forget about Tellarites.
Do you reckon they forget about Tellarites because they're probably the ones that are the hardest to do the makeup for?
In the olden days, yes. Nowadays, not so much. So
they just look like hairy warthogs, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of are. Because we did see Tellarites also in that Harry Mudd short that I can't remember the name of because
The Escape
I don't
Artist.
like Harry Mudd. Thank you. We did see Tellarites there as well. So, it's bring us more Tellarites. Come on. We had a bunch of them in Enterprise.
Yeah.
So let's have some in Discovery and other series in the future. Let's see some Tellarites in Picard. Damn it.
I think Tellarites have got that nature where they've got the whole we will insult you and that's how we like you kind of thing, and I'm not a fan of that, so hopefully they rewrite that sort of aspect to them if they do put them in things like Picard or Lower Decks. Actually, no, you can see them in Lower Decks. Do you know what bugged me though? That episode, there was something that did bug me. Actually, no, I'm incorrect. Actually, it didn't bug me. It bugged me with the episode of the Telosians in season 2 because they used the exact same set for the rebellion in the Mirror Universe, and then for landing on Talos 4, 5, Talos 4, 3, 6.
Talos 4.
I was right the first time.
It's Talos 4. Yes, it's Talos 4.
So, that sort of bugged me with the Telosian episode, but I thought the whole thing about hiding the settlement, etc., like the camp for the rebellion in that little quarry thing was cool, and yeah, I just enjoyed it. I just love the Mirror Universe.
A lot of quarries have been home to many sci-fi episodes. Like in Doctor Who, there was a certain quarry in which they filmed many different scenes. So a lot of places have that significance where they have been used in a series more than once, and they're trying to make it look different every time. But it's kind of hard when it's a natural formation, and unless you're really good at shooting at different angles.
Yeah.
We're going to recognize it's that same
kind of like
quarry, you guys.
Like in Picard with the Vasquez rocks and and then...
Except they were actually the Vasquez rocks in Picard.
I know, that's kind of cool. And then when I'm watching Deep Space Nine and Voyager, I'm like, oh, there was that rock from that episode of Voyager. It's like, oh, look. And I said to Jordan, we watched something, can't remember what episode of DS9 it was now, but they were in somewhere, and I'm like, oh look, Jordan, this is that exact same episode where the people in Voyager in Basics were trying to avoid that large lizard thing, creeping along past it, and then and then it's like, oh my god, it's the exact same scene but with the DS9 crew on the exact same rock ledge. So,
they might have used that in Enterprise as well.
they probably did. I think they just had this same rock scenes in
episodes.
Stage 16 or something like that in the Paramount lot.
Yep. And then there's situations where they are so good at redressing a set and using it from different angles that you would have no idea it was the same room. For instance, in the season 2 episode of Discovery, Through the Valley of Shadows, the entrance hall to Boreth is the exact same room as the room that has the time crystals.
Really?
But redressed and shot from different angles. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know that because I listened to the commentary for that episode because it was Anson Mount and Ethan Peck.
Oh, I still got to listen to all of that. I've got so much to catch up on. And I mean, now that we're not actually watching or doing The Edge, I don't have to rush through the episode stuff like the season 2 extras that we were planning on doing.
Yeah, I'm still going to go through them because I love special features, but we already need that.
That's exactly right. So, them getting back from the Mirror Universe through the spore drive thingy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whole load of wacky pseudoscience to get themselves back, wasn't it?
Not any more so than the mycelial network getting them there. So
yeah, exactly. I mean,
it didn't bother me. I actually found it to be a very moving scene
because of the Caecilian opera.
Yeah.
Did you cry, Brandi?
I did. I did.
Oh,
I really did. Oh, it was tender, and it just because Hugh is gone, and he's still helping Paul get home, and just follow the music.
No. Oh, are you gonna cry now?
Yeah. Nope.
Cry, Brandi. Cry.
I'm fine. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, I cried enough yesterday to last me for at least 3 or 4 days, so we're good.
Oh, is that because of the episodes you watched, or?
No, that was because I watched Hamilton for the first time.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's out on Disney Plus now, which is kind of cool. I've got to go and watch that at some point.
Well, I've had the soundtrack for years, for like 3 or 4 years. So I know the soundtrack, but seeing it is a whole different story. And it's so much more emotional to see a live performance. There was so much crying.
Mm.
So much crying. I went through like 3 tissues. Whew. Even Dave was moved to tears.
Really?
And he is never moved to tears. I've seen him cry twice.
Seriously?
In the 24 years that I've known him.
And one of them is Hamilton.
No.
Oh, so this is the third time.
3 times.
Gosh.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in the Mirror Universe, we know that Michael Burnham is missing and presumed dead.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how they were able to, have our Michael impersonate her. But also, what happened to Prime Lorca?
Indeed, where is he? Cornwell thinks that no one could survive it, so he's assumed dead.
Yes.
But.
Yes. But, so I know that the books are not canon. And pretty much the first Discovery book that came out was made completely contradictory by season 2 of Discovery. But the second book, which was Drastic Measures, which is it's kind of brutal. It's hard. It deals with Prime Lorca.
Mm-hmm.
And also a younger Georgiou before she's a captain. So I'm not going to go over the story. It's not necessary, and it would take too long anyway. But at the very end, after like, I guess you would say after, like how there's an after credit sequence in movies.
Epilogue?
There's an epilogue in the book. And though it is not stated that it is Lorca, they do not name him. From certain context clues that it absolutely is him in a prison in the Mirror Universe.
So does it have anything to do with the book? Because I think I've said on this podcast before that I have not finished Drastic Measures because I got a little bit over it. So is it completely separate to the storyline of Drastic Measures, or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's something that happens in the future.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read that.
It's not very long. If you want to, just skip to that and see what you think. But it's very, very clear from context clues that the author gives us earlier that it's Prime Lorca.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. I very, very quickly skim read it.
Well, I told you it wasn't very long.
No, which is good.
So.
That's why I could quickly skim read it and get the gist of it. But
yeah,
I mean, that is not how quick I read in real life. My God, I read every single word otherwise. But okay, yeah, I see what you mean. That does sort of insinuate that it is him, and it is him in the Mirror Universe.
Mm-hmm. So What I'm saying is that it's not proven that Prime Lorca is dead. Therefore, there is a possibility that he could show up. Whether they do that, I don't know. They'd have to do it in Strange New Worlds because he'd be long dead in Discovery at this point.
That's what I mean. Like, that would be pretty interesting if it does, because I think if the Strange New Worlds is going to go down the episode sort of what's the word on it? Episodic format. You could have Mirror Universe episodes in that, and can you imagine what Pike would be like in the Mirror Universe? He would be like the biggest a-hole of them all.
He would. The thing is, though, is that how do you reconcile that with TOS and them not knowing about the Mirror Universe? Could everything have been classified, I suppose?
Because, I mean, it makes sense with Discovery. They've done that with Discovery, whereby they've classified it all because they didn't want people to think that, oh, there's another universe out there, let's try and get away from this universe and the Klingon War because people might be alive over there. And they didn't want, the Mirror Universe didn't want the ideals of the Federation coming over. So, yeah. I mean, that makes sense how that's all classified.
Yeah, it does. The good thing is, though, is that Pike is aware of it. He knows there's a mirror universe.
Exactly. Pike knows, but Spock would know.
Spock.
Number one would inevitably know as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be that they can't take the whole Enterprise over there.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know how they would do that, but I'm not a writer, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I just think it'd be cool if they did. Although
I wouldn't mind. Honestly, I'm one of those people who would like to see Prime Lorca. I'm not going to die if I don't see Prime Lorca, but I would enjoy that.
It could be like a rescue mission.
I do enjoy Jason Isaacs very much in whatever he does. So, any excuse to see him again in Star Trek would make me smile.
Definitely. So I guess moving on from what happened in Discovery Mirror Universe, it ended up onto the Mirror Universe in TOS from Mirror Mirror, which sort of was only apparently one episode, I think you said.
That is correct.
What happened in it? Because I may not have seen it. Just pictures from it.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
From what I understand, it was an ion storm that transported some people over and they got swapped or something like that.
No, it's a transporter malfunction, which, would have freaked the hell out of the people in Enterprise because they were so wary of the transporters and rightly so. But, it's not just Kirk. It's Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, and Uhura. And, that's when they find out about the Terran Empire, and unfortunately, because of that particular accident, things get switched. Mm-hmm. So with what's going on, for them in the Mirror Universe, those Mirror Universe counterparts have ended up in the Prime Universe. And, it's, Mirror Kirk spends a lot of time trying to talk Spock into letting him go because he can give him power and all that stuff. And Spock's just like, interesting.
Interesting. So then somehow though Spock, a half Vulcan, half human, became the Emperor or the leader of the Empire.
That is not necessarily canon. You don't see that on screen, so you're left to extrapolate.
But I thought something like Intendant Kira said sort of something like that. Well,
I don't remember the Deep Space Nine Mirror Universes episodes very well because I did not like any of them.
Fair.
So, but that's okay. I'm going to remedy that when we talk about those on the Fedegison.
Mm-hmm. You could.
So, but, yeah.
But then let me move over. So obviously, from my understanding is that Mirror Spock sort of turned it into a less dictatorial, less militant sort of.
Less murdery.
Less murdery.
Yeah, less murdery, less militant. Yes.
So then it meant that the Klingons and the Cardassians and Bajorans and that, and the Vulcans managed to like free themselves, I guess, and then sort of turn the tide on them. And then the Terrans became, the subjugated ones, and then became miners on Terok Nor in like the ore processing facility. So, which then moved into DS9, which we could leave for the Vedic Assembly. Hint, people, listen to the Vedic Assembly.
Yeah, because we're going to cover some stuff. But yeah, basically, the way that Kirk gets to him is through logic, because he says to him, and I quote, "I submit to you that your empire is illogical because it cannot endure. I submit that you are illogical to be a willing part of it."
Yeah. And that would kill a Vulcan.
Yeah. And Mirror Spock does say, "One man cannot summon the future," and Kirk replies, "But one man can change the present."
Good little quote, that, isn't it?
Which is, some good lines in there. And they apply to stuff going on today, like all Star Trek does.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to very quickly dig into the DS9 one. You don't like Intendant Kira at all, do you? No? Well, that's a shame.
Sorry. I also don't like her glittery twisted sweatband that looks like she's just been to a workout at a 90s gym. But did not like that.
Really? I thought that was cool. That's the bit that says that I am Intendant Kira and not normal Kira.
Yeah, no. It looks like workout gear to me. It just didn't work for me. Okay.
It's welcome to attack at Intendant Kira's gym on Deep Space Nine or Terok Nor.
Dude, let's be honest. It's been a while since I have seen those episodes, and in watching them again, I may find that I have a different opinion now. Because we all grow and change, and our opinions tend to change. Our likes and dislikes change with maturity and life experience. And I am perfectly willing to rewatch these and see if I have a different reaction than I did when I first saw them.
Yeah.
Because I'm a reasonable human.
Oh, I'm not.
No, I'm well aware, but that's why I love you.
So obviously the Mirror Universe is an interesting little story piece and trope within Star Trek that I enjoy. Brandi sort of enjoys, depending on what particular series there is. I would like there to be a Strange New World Mirror Universe episode. I think that could be cool. I'd also like to see what the Mirror Universe is doing in the 32nd century or whatever century we're in, simply because it's a universe in its own right that has many storylines that you could follow, especially with the ones that were developed in Deep Space Nine. So, I don't know. I think it's cool and we need to learn more.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it by any means. I think that they could tell a good story with that. So it remains to be seen whether they're going to go back there, because I honestly think that they will at some point in one of the series. I just don't know when or which.
Can you imagine a Lower Decks one?
I was just thinking that.
I'm so excited for Lower Decks.
You're reading my mind. Me too. Very, very, very much.
That was sort of my final thought on the Mirror Universe. Do you have a final thought?
You know, alternate realities are always interesting, and often they remind you that just one little thing going differently could create an entirely different universe. And if you think of it that way, every decision that we make creates a separate universe in which things do not go exactly the same way as they are going right this second. And when you start to think that way, your brain explodes. But because I start to think of all of those quantum strings, and I just start to melt in my brain. So, but no, it's an interesting way to look at how things could have gone. And to remind us that we are not perfect. And if we don't actively work for a better future, this sort of thing could just as easily have happened to our civilization.
Yeah, I think we're on that path anyway.
I am certain that we are, unfortunately, and I'm hoping and praying that our younger generations are going to take control and end that particular narrative and put us onto a better path. Because heaven knows we aren't doing it.
Mm-hmm. So before we do the closing, listeners, we just wanted to remind you that this is our last episode of The Edge, bar the one that will be coming out next fortnight, which is more of just a little celebratory episode of our time on The Edge, I guess we'll call it that.
Yes.
So that will be out on January 31st. And when I say January, I mean July. July 31st.
I was like, oh my God, you're going to make people wait that long?
Yeah, it's like, no. So that'll be on July 31st. But starting on July the 30th will be when our first Vedic Assembly episode comes out on the We Made Treks network. So I would encourage you to listen to that. I would also encourage you to listen to whatever happens with The Edge. And yeah, so it's been fun talking about the Mirror Universe this episode, but it isn't the only thing we've been discussing on the network. So here is a quick look at some of the other things you may have missed elsewhere on Trek FM.
Previously on Trek.fm, Earl Grey.
I tap dance with my eyes. That's what I tell people. Just... Yeah.
I don't look at my feet, just look at my eyes and my jazz hands.
As long as I'm looking like I'm having a good time, I'm dancing.
That's the most important part.
Yeah. And just follow the top hat and the cane. Just don't look at my feet. Yeah.
If the rhythm is right and my eyes are smiling, all is good.
Cosplay ideas.
The Edge, a Star Trek Discovery podcast.
Okay, I was just going to say, I just appreciate that we're seeing these dramatic makeup jobs and prosthetic jobs, because the whole let's do a little forehead thing and call it an alien has got really old in Next Generation. And in the original series. The original series you can kind of forgive because of the budgetary restraints. But with TNG, it's just like, really? Another little forehead thing or a little thing, at the bridge of the nose between the eyes? Really? Really? Come on.
Oh, it got really tiring in Voyager too.
The Line, a Star Trek Picard podcast.
Like you're saying about JL, I remember at the time reading this, Rafi calling him JL, and I remember that feeling weird to me. And like you, the first time it was in the comic, and then I was like, JL, that's kind of casual, but like you said, she kind of talks to that. But now rereading it, when I got to that, it just makes so much sense because I'm used to it now. It just seems so natural, but at the time it felt a little odd.
The Ready Room.
Do you think that if Picard were being made, if we could go back to the golden age of TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise...
We call it the Berman era, Chris. Okay.
Oh, is it the Berman era? It's BE. Okay,
yeah,
if we can go back to 1996 BE.
Yeah.
When we had 2-hour pilots for Star Trek series, do you think that these 3 episodes, Remembrance, Maps and Legends, and The End is the Beginning, would have actually been a single episode?
And that's what else is happening on Trek.fm.
Check out all these shows and join the conversation about your favorite corner of the Star Trek universe and beyond. You'll find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you are an Apple user, be sure to hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts on iPhone, iPad, or Apple TV, or the Desktop Podcasts app to get the latest episodes as soon as they are published. And please leave a star rating and written review. It helps us jump up the charts and find more listeners.
If you're not an Apple user, we've got you covered as well. You can find the shows on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, in most third-party apps, and you can stream and download the MP3 file from the website or grab the RSS link.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's train wreck of a show, and there are many. Sorry.
I mean, it was a train wreck, let's face it. I've been so busy, I've been barely able to prepare. It's about as train wreck as this draw.
No, I know the feeling. It's just, it's been a crazy week for me too, so I totally get that. So let me try that again. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show, and there are so many ways for you to do that, but the best place of all to join in the larger conversation is the Babel Conference, which is our listeners group on Facebook. Just type Babel, B-A-B-E-L, into the search field on Facebook. It should come right up.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can use the form on the website at trek.fm/contact, choose to send to a show, and select the Edge. That will probably need to go to Chris now. You can also find the network on Twitter at TrekFM and on Facebook at facebook.com/TrekFM. So, Brandi.
Yeah.
When you're not dominating all over Kronos, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, I don't know. That takes up a lot of my time. But when I'm not dominating on Kronos, you can find me on Twitter at BrandyWine12. Brandi is spelled with an I. 12 is a number. Again, on the Vedic Assembly over at We Made Treks, and also Boldly Go, a Strange New Worlds podcast over at We Made Treks. I do a podcast with my husband Dave called the Dark Corner Podcast, where we talk about whatever weird topic we decide and look at it from a very nerdy and dark point of view. There are swears on that, usually more from me than anyone else. And I do a solo podcast called Headcanon, where I talk about various and sundry weird fandoms of mine in a very nonsensical stream of consciousness way with, I don't edit things out of that one. So it's just what it's like to be inside my brain. And you can find both of those at darkcornerpodcast.com. So, Liam, when you are not busy admiring, I can't say that.
Admiring holes?
I'm gonna say a-holes. I'm leaving it in. So, Liam, when you aren't busy admiring a-holes, where can people find you? Really? You want me to do something else?
No. I was trying to think of something funny to say, but I couldn't in the end. Well, when I'm not admiring a-holes, apparently, you can find me on Twitter at LS74656. You can find me and Brandi along with Nick when he returns from his bugs convention PhD thing, whatever he's doing. You can find us on the Vedic Assembly on We Made Treks, a Deep Space Nine podcast, and you can also find me on the We Made Treks network with The Janeway, a Star Trek Voyager podcast with Suzanne Williamson.
We would love to give a shout out to our militant Mirror Universe counterparts of our associate producers, who are Norman C. Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Puleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Maillet, and Chris Tribuzio. Thank you for supporting The Edge and Trek FM via Patreon. If you'd like to become an associate producer of The Edge or one of the other shows on Trek FM, please visit patreon.com/Trek FM. That's patreon.com/Trek FM.
Thank you for listening to us on The Edge, and join us next time where we'll have our 100th episode, slightly early in the 97th episode. But thank you for listening to us, and join the network again to see what's happening on the edge of Federation space.